Okay, we're going to call our meeting to order, and I'd like to open the meeting if you'd all join me in a moment of silence for the 911 victims. Our thoughts go out to the first responders that we lost that day and all the other citizens of the United States. With that, we'll go on with the superintendent's report. Kevin?
Well, thank you, Skip. Welcome to everyone here tonight in the audience and to those watching on the live stream this evening. Just want to say to the board, welcome to the 23-24 school year. It has started, and I couldn't be happier with the way the school year has kicked off. I've spent a lot of time in the buildings, and I'm so impressed with the positive energy. I'd like to thank our staff, which many are here tonight, especially our students and our parents, and our community for the outstanding start to this school year. Very excited about that. We certainly appreciate all the support and collaboration. We kicked off the school year again with our motto, all means all, to ensure that every student in Vicksburg gets the support they need to succeed. And speaking of positivity, I'd just like to take a minute. I want to thank all the VCS staff, and I know some are here today, especially our community education department, who helped plan and set up for the community tailgate this past Friday evening. What an outstanding event that was. In addition, I'd like to thank all our local businesses, organizations, and associations who participated. We had a whopping 52 tents at the event this year. Thank you, community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The community turnout was nothing short of amazing. I think we ran out of our hot dogs within about 45 minutes. So that's on the notes for next year. Just wanted to say one more time, what an amazing night to be Bulldogs United. Thank you, everyone who made Friday night such a great evening. And great job. We had a victory as well. I do have one recognition I'd like to share this evening, and it's a very important one. I'd like to congratulate Vicksburg High School. They have been named, or have earned the distinction of being a U.S. News and World Report Best High School for earning a national ranking in the top 40%. I want to congratulate the VHS staff, the students, and the parents for making this distinction possible. And as we say in Vicksburg Community Schools, this really isn't a high school award, it's a K-12 award. So I want to take a minute to thank all our VCS elementary and middle school staff as well for preparing our students so when they enter high school, they're ready for rigor. So once again, congratulations to all VCS staff for earning this well-deserved distinction. On the legislative front, all remains fairly quiet in Lansing. Both the House and Senate just recently returned from summer break. So nothing to report, but I do anticipate some developments on the education front here in the very near future. I will certainly keep you posted. And lastly, you will find the important dates document in your packet. Not a lot of dates coming up, but I do want to draw your attention to one of our favorite weeks of the year, and that's homecoming week. That will be the first week in October, and we look forward to Mr. Brush and his staff planning that week out and getting us a little bit more information. As that comes out, I will get that to you. And Skip, that's my report.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, we'll go on to our budget and finance report. Steve?
Okay, good evening. Just a fairly brief report this evening. I'm going to go through the budget progress report for the general fund, and this would be through the end of August, as well as a quick update on the district's investment portfolio. So starting off with the monthly budget progress report, our fiscal year is July through June. I think everybody here is pretty familiar with that. The activity that we have during the summer is usually pretty limited, so the numbers that you're going to see in relation to the budget as a whole are pretty small. Nevertheless, all the activity thus far is essentially consistent with what we'd expect. It's comparable with prior years and that type of thing. So taking a look at revenue, total revenue year-to-date for the first 2 months of the year is stood at just over $418,000. That's on a total budget of nearly $37 million. So obviously, we're just kicking off. Those local revenues consist primarily of property taxes that are starting to come in, as well as some fees for programs like Kids Club and that type of thing. It's too early in the year to see revenue from the state or federal government. We'll receive our first installment of state aid. I'm trying to regulate my voice here. Our first installment of state aid will be October 20th, all right? Federal revenue will begin later in the fall as we start to incur more program costs on some of our grant programs. At that time, we'll start to request reimbursements and bring that cash in. On the expenditure side, expenditures year-to-date total expenditures were $1,325,982. You can see the breakdown there, as you would expect, considering that school just kicked off at the end of August. You don't see a lot of activity there. So instructional expenditures totaled $245,400. Support services were $940,648. You can see that there are expenditures for athletics and community services. And again, those total expenditures year-to-date, $1,325,982. Second page of that report includes expenditure information, again, just for the general fund by object code. And so you can see, again, those total expenditures year-to-date, $1,325,000. Roughly half of that is in the form of salaries and benefits. Of course, salaries and benefits make up a much larger portion of our budget, but those will really kick off in September and on. Whereas some of the other expenditures for purchase services, supplies, and that type of thing tend to occur a little bit more consistently over the calendar year, whereas a lot of our payroll is tied to the school year. So that's just the reason why you see those numbers the way they are at this point. Are there any questions on that report? All right, if not, the second item in my report is just a quick update on the investment portfolio as of August 31st. You can see there's a breakdown of investments in our bonded construction funds. And you can see that majority of investments are in the 2022 Building and Site Fund. Still a very small amount from the 2020 Building and Site Fund. We also have some funds invested for the district's debt service funds as well as the general fund. We continue to look very, very good from an investment income standpoint. I know that rising interest rates that's a double-edged sword, but from the district's perspective, it's been very beneficial as we on liquid investments are earning 5.25% or even a little bit better in some cases. So we continue to try to maximize our investment income as much as we can. Any questions? If not, then that will conclude my report.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, we'll go on to our Vicksburg Community Schools Athletics Annual Report. Mike Roy.
Thank you. Check.
Yeah.
It's a great pleasure that once again, this year I get to give the annual athletic report in your packets, and I do apologize. Someone got my packet with my notes on it, so I scratched some more down. I don't know who the lucky winner is, but the first page you'll see on that packet is our Vicksburg Community Schools Athletics Program Guide for Parents in Athletics. Just some of our expectations and a general overview of our whole athletic department. Page 2 is benefits of a well-rounded athletic high school program. Page 3 will be 10 traits of a great coach, which I believe we have several on this staff. And then the last page of that part will be being an ideal sports parent and the difficulties of that. For our 2023 report, this is my chance and my opportunity to say thank you to several people. I would be remiss if I didn't start out with saying thank you to Ms. Rhonda Vanderkamp 22 years of service, 22 years of putting up with me. She has decided to retire and spend time with grandkids. So Rhonda deserves a big, huge thank you. She was a large part of what we've done in that athletic department over the past 22 years. Very excited and blessed to introduce Chris DeVries. I think she's here this evening as our new athletic administrative assistant. Chris is a blessing in disguise. She's already started doing great things in that office. We've rearranged it. Chris has a strong technical background, so we've been able to enhance a lot of the stuff that we used to do with pen and paper. Now it's done electronically. So very fortunate and excited with that hire that we have in the athletic department. So great things to come. So welcome, Chris. If you've had the opportunity and you've been around me for a while, you know I'm always big on the presence and the look of the district and the facilities that we have. Again, another huge thank you would go to Larry Preston, as our new grounds guy, and he takes care of all of our grass, athletic fields. So again, if you've driven around and seen those, they look beautiful, and I'd like to thank Larry for all his time. Another MVP of that athletic department is Darla Cousins. Darla is one of our employees. She's our head custodian here at Vicksburg High School, and Darla just spends an enormous amount of time. She shares the same vision that I do, that unfortunately people in the crowd, people that come to Vicksburg, don't get an opportunity to see our great classrooms and stuff like that. But the majority of our traffic comes to our athletic events. Again, Darla has great pride in keeping this building and our facilities clean, so I would be remiss again without recognizing Darla. Finally, I feel blessed as the athletic administrator that gets to work many different branches of our school district. And again, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for all that they do, their continued support of the athletic department in me to allow me to do the things that I do. Our financial secretary, who takes care of all my finances at the high school, Denise Berry. Our transportation director, Karen McKinstreet. Food service is Sarah Dyer. Sarah has and her staff have meals prepared for our student athletes at the end of days before they get ready to compete. Our custodial director that is now retired, Nancy Spickets, but also Dewey Waterman, has stepped in with great enthusiasm and has his staff pumped up, and they're doing a tremendous job. Community ed and all of our summer camps and everything we run through Beth O'Rourke and Alyssa Thompson. My two main guys I work with on the daily at the high school, Mr. Brush and Mr. Hawkins. There's also the people at the middle school, Allison Digert and Joe Workema, Mr. Goss, Mr. O'Neill, for your continued support and confidence in me and my leadership and my abilities to lead this department. Thank you very much. Again, a good friend of mine, Ben Rozier, and then Jay Bennett, and all that the Big Red Machine does for bringing school pride to Vicksburg High School. So thank you to those gentlemen.
Hear, hear.
Again, as I've said for years, I believe that that athletics is the best value in education. It's not the most important by any means, but it's the most valuable. We do offer 29 varsity sports for a school our size, and that's outlined in that original handout that you saw at the very beginning. We continue to live our vision statement as we are committed to the habits of champions. Our mission, the role of interschool athletics in Vicksburg Community Schools, is to provide an educational experience in the framework of competitive athletics. And as you can see as you go down there, some of the committees that I serve on for the MHSAA, and then again, tournaments that we've hosted and opportunities to showcase our facilities here at Vicksburg High School, but also our village. The next page you'll see our male and female athletes of the year from last year. Molly Young was recognized as our female athlete of the year, and then Grant Anderson was our male athlete of the year. Our athletic boosters continue to do a great job of helping us out with some of the extras in our athletic department, and one of the things that they do that we're very proud of is the athletic scholarships, the Evelyn Brockway booster scholarships, and they do 2 $1,000 scholarships and 6 $500 scholarships, so 8 athletes, seniors each year get those awards. So congratulations and thank you to the boosters for all that they do. And I'm going to run into our athletic kind of breakdown from last year and the highlights of that. And obviously the highlight of our winter last year was our girls basketball team and Coach Kirby, 23-0 and then unfortunately we lost that district championship game, but with a record of 23-1, set school records, our first conference title ever in the history of the program. So again, that was excellent work by them and those young ladies. And I felt like that kind of catapulted us into our spring. We had a spring, ladies and gentlemen, that I can't tell you about. Words just don't describe it. The Wolverine Conference offers 7 sports, and we took 4 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third in the spring. And so those student athletes did a tremendous job. Also in the spring, I want to tell you about a couple individuals that competed at very high levels in the state. Avery Snook, a regional 300 hurdles champion, and was 3rd place at the MHSA state track meet.
Wow.
Tucker Radjens was 2nd in the 400 at the regional. And then Michael Wright, 100 meter, 200 meter regional champion, set a new school record in the 100 meter with a 10.57, and that young man also, ladies and gentlemen, was a state champion for Vicksburg.
Phenomenal.
And as you know, I like to always brag about these numbers, our participation numbers and our academic numbers. We had 38 seniors last year, which is about 25% of that class that participated in at least one sport. Number of seniors that played 2 sports was 23, and number of seniors that played at least 3 sports their senior year were 14. And that's one of the larger numbers we've had in quite a while. So 14 kids playing 3 sports, and all 14 of those kids played 3 sports every year of their high school career. Again, we talk about athletics and the best value in education. We had an impact on 367 students. So that's 367 different students that participated in at least one sport last year. That's over half of our student body. Of that number, 132 of them were 2-sport athletes, and 48 of them were 3-sport athletes. The numbers that I'm most proud of when we talk about at Vicksburg High School is our full-time student, part-time athlete. Again, we emphasize that, the coaches emphasize that. That's what we're here for, is the academics first, full-time student, part-time athlete. Grade point average of the class of 2023 seniors was 3.656.
Wow.
So I'll put that in perspective for you compared to the senior class as a whole. The senior class as a whole, their GPA was 3.332. So the athletes outperformed in the classroom. Again, just emphasizing the importance of the co-curriculars there. And then again, the grade point average of all students, 9 through 12, through the 2022-23 school year was a 3.317. So again, that goes kudos to Mr. Brush, Mr. Hawkins, and along with me helping to emphasize the importance of academics, and that's why we're here. Transitioning into this year, I'd like to just let you know, in case there's some questions, the middle school athletics has moved from the Kalamazoo Area Middle School League to the Wolverine Conference, which is the same conference that the high school is a part of, and we had long discussions and spent time with that with the coaching staff and stuff, and we feel that that's going to be nothing but positive moving forward for our young student athletes at the middle school. And another thing that we're extremely proud of that we're bringing to Vicksburg High School and we've been working on, and Chris DeVries has been a big, huge part of that, is we're starting a fueling station. And for some of you that don't know what the fueling station is, it's an opportunity for some of our student athletes after school where they're going to be able to get some protein and some snacks and some carbohydrates and stuff, either pre-practice or post-practice or pre-competition or post-competition. And we've got a little room down in the athletic wing where we've got some equipment in there already. We've got some painting done, some furniture and stuff in there. So when we get it all completed, and we hope to have that done within the next 30 days, where kids after school will be able to go grab a chocolate milk or a water or some peanut butter or some granola, yogurt, and different things like that to fuel them for their practices or their competitions. A lot of our kids eat, they get here 7:15 in the morning, they eat lunch around 11, they're leaving school or going to practice at 2:30 for competitions, and if they're on the road for competitions, a lot of times they compete 4:30, 5 o'clock, and don't get back home until 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. So we just feel this is something nice that we'll be able to do for those student athletes. Again, always looking for an opportunity to give them an edge. This is something that is very big right now at collegiate level. There's a small Division III schools and stuff like that have that. And again, you know, like we like to be the forerunners and the front runners and a lot of that, just like we were with concussion testing in the state of Michigan. We were one of the first high schools in the state of Michigan to offer that, and proud to say that we're going to be one of the first high schools in the state of Michigan to be able to offer a fueling station for our student athletes.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Does the board have any questions for Mike? You-
The softball team's home run total was at a record somewhere, they hit like 52, some unbelievable number.
Somebody has that somewhere in their notes. Yes. See, Doc Schremer, oh my gosh, I forgot about one of our highlights. Thank you so much. Yes, our girls softball team was phenomenal. Conference champions, district champions, regional champions. They won a quarterfinal, a semifinal, and again, we were state finalists in softball, and they set many records. Home run record was one of them, and it was amazing to watch those young ladies compete this spring. And again, the great part about it is that they lost, that's not the great part, but we lost two wonderful athletes, but the majority of that team is back, and the expectations are just as high, if not higher, for not only the softball team, but also for the girls basketball team, because, again, they didn't lose much off of that roster last year either. So, again, we're really excited about this year and the things that we're going to be able to do in 23-24.
Also, Mike, did the equestrian team also have accomplishment recently? Are they district?
Yeah, they're district champs, yes.
Yeah, I just,
So, and I don't know how they did in regionals yet.
oh.
So, but unless somebody.
So the high school equestrian team is the district champions. We move on to regionals at the end of September.
Thanks. Catching me off there. What? This is last year's report. But we'll recognize this year's too. I'm excited about it.
Have we got any more audit questions for Roy? I just want to make a comment. Mike, the success we have in athletics is because of the strong leadership you've given us. And we've watched that for many years. I think you've had a great impact on our athletic program. Your commitment to academics along with athletics, I think, is second to none. I made a little comment about the band because we're very lucky in Vicksburg because we have a great relationship between the band and athletics, and that doesn't always happen in all schools. But I just want to commend you on that, tell you that doesn't go unnoticed. I see you at all hours of all days. I have never seen anybody more committed, so kudos to you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to that part of the program for audience comments. I would ask you to give your first and last name, keep your comments down to 3 minutes, and we will begin with Kendall Childs. And yeah, if you'd use the mic, that'd be great.
My name is Kendall Childs. I'm currently attending Vicksburg High School, and I'm starting my sophomore year. I've attended Vicksburg since 3rd grade, and I absolutely love my school. It's always been like a second home. One of the things I've always taken pride in my district is its diversity of people, the difference of economics, political opinions of interest, orientations, and all sorts of other identities, and for our community's tolerance of this diversity. Over my years here, I've been given a chance to form my own opinions and choose how I wish to respond to various situations, a sentiment I'm sure very many of my peers share with me, and something I'm very grateful for. However, here we are, trapped in the midst of a lawsuit, intent on taking away our state-granted protection and freedom of choice, dead set on their opinions being the ruling factor of what we do as a student body. The assessment of many, including myself, is that we seem to be focusing on the wrong issues. I spoke with many of my fellow students, all who no longer use the school bathrooms, and when I questioned why, all of them explained it was out of fear of a contact high upon entering the school bathrooms due to vaping. Teachers are doing as much as they can, and yet it's been dismissed by our community as kids will be kids situation, rather than being addressed as an actual problem. Out of over 30 women that I spoke to, over half of them said that vaping was the biggest problem we face in a district, and none of them listed the fear of transgender people utilizing the bathroom as their reasoning behind not using the school bathrooms. Why is it then that this is the bathroom discussion we're so worried about, when this is a subject is making many others uncomfortable, has been completely ignored by the vast majority of people? If those filing this lawsuit are concerned about our education and safety, as they seem to be, why is this the stance that they have decided to take of that seemingly rare occurrence rather than something that has been experienced by everyone who uses the school restrooms and has a serious impact on our physical and neurological health? This only serves to further encourage the belief that and reasoning behind the cause is chosen less due to what's most impacting our school and rather chosen based on personal opinions, which is entirely inappropriate to press onto high school children who are still in the developmental process and should be able to develop their own opinions. One of the main concerns stated by those supporting side of this lawsuit is fear of harassment of those born female while using female restrooms. When girls are inappropriately touched or catcalled by their male identifying peers are typically ignored. These boys are just considered hormonal, and girls are dismissed altogether. Again, this situation that is much more frequent than any sort of harassment happening by trans-identifying people.
You've got about 20 seconds.
And yet our community still continues to remain silent. I'm here urging you to look for another less extreme solution to the problem at hand. We could pick one of the bathrooms and make it gender neutral, or make all of the bathrooms gender neutral and have floor-to-ceiling stalls on both the urinals and toilets, so that any teacher or administrator could go in at any time and make sure kids aren't vaping in there or doing anything other that isn't allowed. These are just a
Okay.
few ideas, and I'm sure if we put our heads together, we could really find a solution that would help everyone. At times like this, it's an imperative that we all come together as a community rather than push each other apart. I'm here for further questions. Thank you for your time.
Jason Patnud? Didn't you want to speak? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I'm Jason Patton, graduate of Vicksburg. I have 3 boys in the school system. 2 have graduated, one's still here. I asked my boys, have they ever had an issue or concern or heard an issue or concern about the bathrooms or about anybody doing anything? They had negative. It's not an issue. I talked to my friend's young daughter of the junior. Same question, same answer, negative, nothing. What I see here is a whole lot of people trying to make a mountain out of a damn molehill. This is more time wasted talking about bathrooms than we do in our own lives. They have stalls. They're there for a reason. Nobody's checking each other out. It's just not happening. You're probably going to hear tonight some cases of one single instance of a problem occurring. Guess what? There's thousands of cases of other problems that occur too. Preachers doing inappropriate things and the like. I see right now, today and here, what we have is a lot of people who have been hyped up based not on facts, not on actual, really things that are happening, but on fear. And that's all I see here is a whole bunch of screaming fear online, a lawsuit that's basically a nonsensical Kraken lawsuit. This is wasting all of our time, and it's disrespectful to the community and the school itself to blow up as much as we'll probably see here in a few minutes. Thanks.
Thank you. Rick Burmeister?
Ladies and gentlemen of the Vicksburg School Board, I stand before you today as a proud member of those that have graduated from Michigan Public Schools. I owe a debt of gratitude to my teachers and administrators that encouraged me to pursue math and science and extracurriculars. I graduated from Freeland High School in 1998 and went on to get my BSME from GMI, which is now known as Kettering University. Ultimately, those teachers and administrators helped me to develop a love of learning. My father also served on the Freeland School Board as a board trustee for 5 years and a board president for 3 years. He then went on to serve the Saginaw ISD for 30 years, 15 as a trustee and 15 as a president. I, my father, and my family are advocates for public education. I appreciate you sharing Vicksburg's restroom policy last month at the August board meeting. My family and I disagree with the restroom policy. Even though we disagree with the policy and I would ask you to reconsider the policy, I now understand where the district stands and we can make choices for our family accordingly. I would like to submit a few questions to the board around this policy. Did the board vote on this policy and what was the record of the vote? When will this policy be added to the school handbook and will it also include locker rooms? Was a second opinion from a different law firm requested and received? Does the administration have a plan when larger groups of girls or boys no longer feel safe to use the restroom of their biological sex and will only use single stall restrooms because of safety? Will this board and administration be defining and holding students accountable for normal multi-sex restroom and locker room usage and behavior versus indecent exposure and non-contact sexual abuse? Does this policy hold for sporting teams that males can play on female teams and vice versa? Does this policy also apply to adults within Vicksburg school events, plays, band concerts, sports, etc.? I'm asking these questions and seeking clarity as a parent of a 3rd, 5th, and 7th grader. I'm also just asking when I could expect answers to these questions. As a family, we have been very pleased with Vicksburg schools. We'd like to stay in this district, but must project the impact of this policy and others on our family over the next decade. Martin Luther King Jr. said a just law is a man-made code that squares with the moral law or the law of God. An unjust law is a code that is out of harmony with the moral law. One has not only a legal but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral responsibility to disobey unjust laws. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Richard Cutshaw.
My name is Richard Cutshaw. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, along with Superintendent O'Neill and Assistant Superintendent Gross, I stand here in disbelief at the board and administration's lack of concern and complete disregard for the overall safety and privacy of the student body as a whole. Under Michigan law, the Board of Education has the ultimate responsibility for school district operations. Among other things, the revised school code gives each Board of Education general powers to educate students and provide safety and welfare for the students. By a show of hands, who here believe that the school board administration is not looking out for the safety and welfare of the students? Each board has the power to set policy to protect the students. It is completely obvious that this board is not only it is completely obvious that the board is only trying to protect a few students at the expense of the majority, when in reality, no student is being protected. I could go into lengthy detail with the statistics on how allowing gender identity to determine a student's bathroom or locker room use is in no way beneficial to any student, or how allowing or encouraging any student to believe they are something they are not greatly impacts them. Here are just a few. Transgender youth have high rates of depression at 50.6% versus non-transgender at 20.6%. High anxiety at 26.7% versus non at 10%. Suicide attempts at 17.2% versus 6.1% non. And self-harm with lethal intent, 16.7% versus 4.4% non. In the past year, 1 in 3 transgender youth reported suicide attempts. Almost 1/3 reported being victims of sexual violence, and more than half reported a 2-week period of depression. Not to mention the rape, sexual assaults, and violent attacks in multiple states, not limited to, but include New Mexico, Virginia, Oklahoma, California, and Wisconsin, to name a few of the high-profile incidents. There isn't any science that shows allowing children to believe they are something they are not is healthy or beneficial. In fact, science says it is devastating for children. On top of that, there are staff in the middle school encouraging students to use pronouns and hide it from their parents. This is not only unbelievable, but infuriating. The middle school principal called an emergency meeting with staff after receiving a cease and desist order from Willis Law. Once again, the school has never sent out anything to parents about this issue. Here we are, hiding and sneaking to keep parents in the dark while some staff are trying to indoctrinate and groom our children. Which leads me to the all means all slogan. What this really means is all will be forced to conform in ideology by indoctrinating and grooming and being forced to accept a worldview of the few. All means all.
30 seconds, Rich.
Okay. Based on the actions of the school board and administrators, it would be fair to say that the school board and administrators do not care about biological sex assigned in the womb or students who believe that there are only two genders. Whoever causes one of these little ones who believed in me to sin, it would be better for him to have a great millstone tied around his neck and to be drowned in the depths of the sea. Quote, Jesus Christ. God's children are not
Time.
for sale.
Liz Cutshaw?
I'm Liz Cutshaw, but I am reading this on behalf of Lexi Belcher, a parent who could not make it here tonight. My son attends Indian Lake Elementary. We also have two younger children that we like to go through this school system. I am writing this letter regarding the ongoing issue of how sexuality is handled and communicated at Vicksburg Public Schools. First, I'd like to say that the core of my letter is not hatred. It is not condemnation to these kids who are confused. I have compassion for them and they need help. Having said that, I have an obligation to protect and fight the safety and well-being of my children and every child. My hope with writing this letter is that the board members, VCS employees, and parents alike come to see the truth. I hope that you are all able to take a step back and look at the situation holistically and realize the destruction the topic at hand leads to. There is no gray area here. Our children should not have biologically opposite genders in their bathrooms or locker rooms, period. Our daughters should not be put in a position to be potentially assaulted by a male in a secluded room. We shouldn't have to worry about a teacher telling our kids they can pretend to be an opposite gender at school and they won't tell their parents. When you look at this from a neutral stance, the level of which sexuality is focused on in our children in schools is disturbing. It is a form of sexual abuse, borderline pedophilia, and it certainly is negligence. The fact is, supporting these behaviors only leads to more destruction and trauma to more children. There is an eternal and generational impact being enabled by promoting this delusion. At the end of the day, every child should feel safe at school. The few who are confused should not impact the safety of many. There is a much better way to handle this situation, and instead of focusing on sexuality and on our children, let's focus on safety and facts. Let's focus on giving parents the right to handle these deep conversations that impact their children's future. Right now, you have the chance to take higher ground and to set an honorable example. You have the opportunity to prioritize the well-being of all children and not fall for the deception placed in front of us each day. And she wanted to end in a prayer. Heavenly Father, please flood this place with your presence, your love, and your truth. God, we need you. I pray every person sitting in this room comes to know you. God, help us all stay true to your word and your design. We know there's a beautiful design you created for us to live by, so we may flourish. God, I pray for these kids. I pray for the kids experiencing gender confusion and sexual sin. I pray for these kids that have been exposed to it by a way of school or other families and children. Show them your truth. I pray that you are the center of this school and these families.
30 seconds.
Jesus sat at the table with sinners. He loved them, but he taught them a new way, a way that leads to freedom and righteousness and an abundant life. And in the name of Jesus, I declare that over everyone in this room, embolden those in this room that know your truth to fight for it. God, even in opposition, you are sovereign. Make your mark on Vicksburg Community Schools and this entire generation. In Jesus' name we pray.
Sherry and Andy Vandermoren, and I'm not sure if both or one of you want to speak.
Hi, my name is Cherie Vandermoren. I am the parent of 3 children who are currently or were in Vicksburg Community Schools. When we moved to this area 5 years ago, we interviewed many local schools to decide what district to move into, and we chose Vicksburg because we felt there were so many great opportunities for our children. Our baby started kindergarten this year, and it's exciting for him to see the joy of school and the joy of learning. And I pray that he will thrive and flourish in his school environment. His teachers and the staff at the school have been wonderful so far. We're jumping in as parents to get involved. I somehow got signed up to be on the PTSO in the first week of school, so here we go. But I have 13 years ahead of me as a parent in this district. My 8th grader is asking to be homeschooled because he's frustrated. He's frustrated by the environment at school, by the behavior, by the distractions to learning. He wants to be homeschooled or transfer to another school because of the distractions in daily life in Vicksburg Middle School. My daughter graduated in May. As a junior, she wanted to have Vicksburg in her rearview mirror. She got out of Vicksburg in 3 years because she didn't want to be here another year. She saw opportunities to take other courses, to try other opportunities in Kalamazoo County, which didn't pan out for her, and so she just was ready to move on. And it hurts my heart that that was her experience. I think we had so much hope for Vicksburg Community Schools, for our children. We're in here, we're invested in this school district, we are participants in it. We don't feel like the school has given each student the full opportunity to thrive. I love the ideas that this young person shared with being solution providers. How do we look for solutions for us to make sure that every student, all means all, they can all thrive? And so I stand here with so many other parents to ask you, as the board, on behalf of the families that you represent, to be solution providers for all of our students so they can all feel safe, they can feel included, and that we can have policies that parents support and that children can thrive in these districts. Thank you for my comments.
Lynn Hettinger? Did I say that correct? Lynn Hettinger?
Both of my kids graduated from Vicksburg schools. It was hard at that time. I can't imagine even going through it now. I have a kindergarten grandson who's at Toby School. This scares me. I am frightened for what he will have to experience. I hope that you all have an open mind. I feel that everybody that spoke today so far just wants our kids to be safe and healthy. And so that's what I'm hoping for today. After this meeting, I'm praying that hearts will be softened and that resolutions can be resolved.
Thank you. I'm not sure whether this person wants to speak or not. They've got a question mark. Todd and Missy Miller.
Hey everyone, I'm Missy. I have a sophomore and I have a 7th grader this year. What I'm hearing is a lot of talk about wasting people's time. I'm hearing a lot of talk about God. So I'm a Christian, but we are not here to judge. That is in the Bible. It is not our place to judge. What we want, and what I think everybody wants, is we want all of our kids to feel safe. It doesn't matter if you are transgender. It doesn't matter if you are a boy, if you are a girl, if you're a they, a their, a him, or her. It doesn't matter. We want them all to be safe. That is all this is about. So I feel that if we have been given an accommodation, so if kids do not feel that they belong in the boys' bathroom or they do not belong in the girls' bathroom, they need an accommodation. And that should suffice. That should suffice the issue. So if you do not believe that you are a girl, you do not believe you are a boy, that is you. That is who you are. I am not the one to judge that. That day will come. I don't believe that this is about God and what is right, what is wrong. I believe that my daughter should not have a boy in the bathroom with her. I feel that for transgender kids who do not feel safe in their biological sex bathroom, that is understandable. I get it. But my kid doesn't feel safe. So what makes the transgender right and my kid wrong? It is a two-way road. No, I'm sorry. That is the best and most undivided way is to accommodate our students so that they all feel safe. Why does the transgender kid get to feel safe and my kid who identifies with what they were born does not? That is it.
Thank you. Stephanie Orr.
Forgive me, I'm a millennial. I do not own a printer. Good evening. My name is Stephanie Orr. My husband and I have a second grade, our son, is in second grade at Indian Lake Elementary. It's a little surreal to me that today on 9/11, I was starting my junior year of high school in this very high school. And now I'm standing here 22 years later as a working professional, a wife and a mother, whose worries used to be about common fears that all parents face sending their kids to school. Will they arrive safely on the bus? Will they get there? When they get there, will they be safe from the evils we see today? Will they make friends? Will they be nice to others? But now we have to worry about topics that seem fictitious in our minds, but that are now an absolute reality. My husband and I chose this district specifically for the community and the schools, which we felt would be best for our son. This is not the Vicksburg that we know and love. And we do not support your stance or your solutions that you've come up with, as we've heard over and over again tonight on these recent issues that have come up. We're not asking for you to single out a specific individual or to promote hate of any kind. I pray for healing and help for all parties involved, simply asking for a solution that protects and upholds the rights of all of our children, not just some, which is your job that you were voted to do, and the current solution is no solution at all. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa Hostetler.
Good evening, school board. Thank you for allowing me to speak here. I'm a member of this community, and I'm here again to address this same issue. And I have many concerns about this policy, and I feel that this decision is irresponsible, unethical, immoral, illogical, unfair, and unsafe. My concerns are the scenarios that could occur. So let me give you an example. So you have two teenage adolescent boys in the middle school come into school one morning, and one says, "Hey, I dare you to identify as a female today and go in the girls' locker room and see what you can see." And the kid says, "I'll do it, I don't care." And so the kid goes in there, and the girls have to deal with that, and he gets away with it because he says, "Well, I identified as a female and it's allowed in this school." This is a situation for sexual harassment, sexual abuse, and sexual assault. And it could happen in either bathroom, in the girls or the boys. You tell students they just have to deal with it, just put up with it, it'll be fine, it's no big deal. And what do we call that? We call that grooming. And I say to you, how dare you groom our children, and how dare you put them in a situation where sexual harassment, assault, and abuse can occur. You may think, oh, this will never happen. Really? How are you going to ensure that? Because you have a bullying policy? So in addition, I heard you say at the previous school board meeting that the parents need to go to Lansing and get some action from them. If that is so true, then why do other schools such as Schoolcraft, Constantine, Centerville, Gull Lake, Matawan, etc., not have this policy in place, if that's what you call it? Why is Vicksburg doing this? It doesn't have to be this way. It's not being mandated by the state or by Dr. Rice, as far as I understand. And to be clear, everyone, this is not about transgender. I am with all of you. This is about the safety of our students. And your job as the school board is to make sure our students get educated and in a safe environment. And a student that is not in a safe environment
30
is
seconds.
not going to learn. So in closing, I have just two more things. I appreciate the teachers wearing their All Means All t-shirt, because that to me means that all students will be safe in all environments at all times. And we should all want that. And then my last thing to say is, if you do not change this and create an environment of safety by disposing this policy, or whatever you call it, then I'm asking you to step down from your leadership role.
Time.
From what I understand,
Your
Michigan State could recall the school board.
Your time is up. Eric Myers.
Good evening to the board. My name is Eric Myers. I am a resident of Vicksburg. Two of my children attended Vicksburg School District, and I have 3 daughters. I have to be honest, I don't envy the position that each of you are in. I appreciate your service, genuinely. I'm not sure that I could do what you do objectively. But I do have a series of questions that I would like to hear responses on directly from this board. One of them, how long has the prior gender-segregated bathroom and locker room policy been in place? 2, was the bathroom policy change in question taken up as a vote by this board, or was it unilaterally put in place? 3, if it was taken up as a vote, how did each of you vote? 4, why am I unable to find any facts online or find any documentation regarding this particular policy? 5, does this policy apply to transgender adults that might also be visiting the district? On this Board of Education's website, the language specifically states that the board will, and I quote, provide a safe environment for all students. As I understand it, this new policy is a direct and complete violation of that statement. Why is this board affirming the mental health issues of transgender individuals and prioritizing their preferences over the safety of thousands of female students that will be affected now and in the future? There have been multiple instances of sexual assault perpetrated by transgender students in the United States. This is not a potential. This is not a potential risk. This is not a possibility. This has literally happened. So given this fact, why would this board allow a gender-affirming bathroom policy? Further, I would ask, how will this board address the serious, egregious safety risk of transgender adult men under this policy using women's bathrooms during sporting events? And if the response is simply that you won't allow it, then you have simply made my point for me. I would also echo the request that if this board cannot move to reverse this policy, that you step down from your position. Thank you.
Thank you. Vic Simmons.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Vic Simmons. I use they, he pronouns, and I drove an hour and a half from Lansing to be here tonight for this. I graduated from Vicksburg High School 4 years ago as one of many, many transgender students who have found a safe academic home here. It has been 8 years since my freshman year, and yet only now is a lawsuit being brought forth in an attempt to influence the legal and moral judgments of the district. I ask why it has taken 8 years for this so-called concern to show itself. For years, I used the restroom alongside all of my cisgender male peers. Where were the lawsuits and outcry then? Where was the media attention in 2019 when I wore red to graduation, when I was referred to as Mr. Simmons on my scholarship awards? It is because this lawsuit and this discussion are not based in concern for the safety of cisgender students, but on the harassment and policing of one individual trans feminine student at this school. Trans women are categorically subject to violence at over 4 times the rate of cisgender population. And this lawsuit is a further demonstration of the social and legal violence that is perpetuated less obviously, but no less insidiously, against both trans individuals in general and trans women in specific. I ask you to consider the purpose of this lawsuit. If it is the prevention of this singular trans student from using the girls' restroom, mission accomplished. She has been sufficiently bullied and harassed out of the district. If it is an attempt to force a change in public policy, it is futile. Michigan's Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act, enhanced and codified by SB 147, prohibits educational institutions from, quote, discriminating against an individual in the full utilization of or benefit from the institution or the services, activities, or programs provided by an institution, based on any number of protected categories, those of which have been amended now to explicitly include the language of sexual orientation and gender identity. What is left, then, but political opportunism? With the rise in anti-transgender sentiments, how better to gain publicity in a potential case settlement? Mr. DePerno has already made it clear through his alleged involvement in election box tampering that the goal for this discussion has never been an equitable and democratic resolution. This is not a legitimate lawsuit nor a legitimate discussion, and I stand behind the board in its decision to uphold both Title IX of 1972 and the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act of 1976. Protect trans kids. Thank you.
Mason Adler.
That's a tough one to follow. I swear we wrote these independently, by the way. Let me just open it up. Apologies. Good evening, folks. My name's Mason Adler, VHS class of 2019. I'd like to begin by expressing my appreciation for the board's stalwart and unwavering stance against legal pressures. Your resolve and consistency on this particular issue has been greatly appreciated by your community. Beyond this, I'd like to use my time to report a bit of amateur journalism I undertook in preparation for tonight, not only for the benefit of the body, but also for the community as a whole, since I'm sure that all of you know some of this. But let's start with Matthew DePerno. I'm certain that the majority of you are aware that he is currently facing charges of election interference. However, I'd like to draw attention to an additional detail about the man. On his website, at the very top, is a donation link for his own legal proceedings, urging the public to provide him their own hard-earned cash. This man is clearly hard up, which is no surprise. No matter how these proceedings conclude, Mr. DePerno will be coming out of it with quite a pretty penny to his name. As for Mr. Cutshaw, the other potential beneficiary of this lawsuit, a quick search on Twitter revealed to me an online presence obsessed with belittling the hypothetical transgender children of others, and also made me aware of the fact that he has already raised nearly $11,000 for legal fees, which he has only paid out $400 worth of this time. Additionally, the suit brought forth by these two men call for a payment of more than $30,000 in compensation for perceived damages. $30,000 is approximately equal to the median annual income in the state of Michigan. Let me call this scheme for what it is, a grift. These men have bullied a teenager out of her school district, have proceeded to shake down Vicksburg Community Schools for a considerable sum of money. All credibility in regards to concern for the students goes out the window when such a transparent effort to drain the coffers of the district in question is staged. I urge the board not to cave to the demands of a crook lawyer and a hateful client. The case is rooted in both state and federal precedent, and frankly, I believe the plaintiffs know that the case is hopeless and seek a quick cash grab in the form of a settlement from the district. I yield my time. Thank you.
Mary Burke.
In this day and age, it is easy for us to get lost in news headlines, social media posts, and negativity. We lose sight of the goodness and excellence and positivity that exist in our own lives and those of our community. Today, I am choosing to be intentional about what I am thankful for. I am thankful to live in a country in which the purpose of public education is to provide a free education to all children in the country. This all, meaning every child, regardless of their religion, their race, their ethnicity, their gender identity, or their socioeconomic status. I am thankful to live in a school district where the Board of Education and superintendent work to follow federal and state laws, strive to be fiscally responsible in providing an excellent education for all students, who at the same time work to ensure the safety and healthy environment for staff and students. I am thankful for the administrators, but want to specifically thank Mr. Brush and Mr. Hawkins. My daughter, both, have always felt valued and heard by them. Their constant check-ins and conversations with her and my other daughter who's graduated have helped them to feel valued as a person in this school. They truly care about her and her peers. I am thankful to the teachers who care not just about the content of their classes, but the young children and young adults sitting in front of them. They work to provide excellent instruction so that our children can be successful in whatever path they choose. At the same time, they work to create a class environment in which all students feel self-worth and value. I am thankful to be a Vicksburg Community Schools graduate. I am thankful to have had two daughters, one who is a graduate and one who's sitting here today as a senior. Both were and are prepared to be successful in a global community where diversity should be celebrated. And I'm finally thankful that I am here to be able to remind myself and those who sit here that there are a lot of things in this community to be thankful for. Amen for that.
Megan Burke.
Okay, my name is Megan Burke. I'm a senior, as she said. I've been attending Vicksburg since I was in pre-K, and not once have I felt unsafe in this district. So instead of standing here and telling you whether I agree or disagree or whether I think what you're doing is wrong or right, I would like to stand here and thank each and every one of you, including my administrators, wherever they are, Mr. Brush and Mr. Hawkins, for always making me feel safe and feel like I have an environment to learn in. I've never once questioned going to school and feeling unsafe. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't have anything written, but I would like to think, I think there's a lot of negativity going on, and not a lot of people are focusing on the negative and not focusing on the positive. I'm really thankful for everybody up here who has cared about my education, and I also think it's important. I think it's interesting. I hear a lot of people are concerned about boys going into the girls' bathroom and the safety of the girls, and are looking that to be a board solution. But I think that needs to be a reflection on parents. And if you're concerned about your boys going into the girls' bathroom, then teach your boys to respect women.
Christine Babcock.
Hello, my name is Christine Babcock. I'm here tonight because transgender people's dignity matters. I heard that. Thank you very much. I am surprised by the misinformation and disinformation being spread by some members of the Vicksburg community. Research has found that transgender youth who are able to socially transition and simply have their gender identity, name, and pronouns affirmed report higher levels of resilience and positive well-being and lower levels of depression, anxiety, gender dysphoria, and suicidality relative to transgender youth who are not affirmed. So those mental health things you were worried about before, sir, not being accepted is what amplifies those. That's what puts trans kids in danger. For these and many other reasons, it is clear transgender students deserve the basic dignity to use bathrooms or locker rooms based on their gender identity, just like every other student. The insinuation that the mere existence of transgender students in bathrooms is an intentional violation of children's fundamental right to bodily privacy is absurd. They're just there to pee. In fact, when we make that insinuation, we put transgender youth in danger. I'd also like to lift up the voices of the youth who have attended this school and are here telling you what their experiences are as queer kids and also as allies, presumably. They deserve to go to school in a place where each of them feels respected. Thank you very much.
Tram Hall.
Good afternoon. My name is Tracy Hall. Must have been a Freudian slip on the sign-in. But anyway, my name is Tracy Hall. My pronouns are she, they. I'm the executive director of Out Front Kalamazoo. We are the local LGBTQIA resource and community center. And I am here to support the trans students. I want you to know we see you. We brought a whole team. We see you. We love you. We respect you. I had a whole thing I was going to say, but I got a little sidetracked because of Kendall, Vic, Mason, and Megan. You all are brave, younger beings. I know you're older, but still. I could not have said what you all said any better. For those who care about grooming, I care about grooming too. Let's look into our families. Let's look into our religious institutions. Let's look into our sports. Let's look at the grooming there. Was I groomed? Yeah, but it wasn't by a female. I understand we fear what we don't know. My services are available to all of you. You want to talk about what it means to be trans? You want to talk about what it means to be to have a gender identity, a sexual orientation, which reaffirmed by the Department of Education that it would violate Title IX and supported with the amendment of the Elliott Larson amendment. Sorry, a little winded. Anyway, you all have a tough job. I understand it. I'm disappointed that you have no choice but to let a lot of the untruths, alternate facts, be stated here tonight. Your opinion are not facts, and you can all keep on staring. I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, thanks.
I want to thank you all for your comments. Did I miss you? Okay, I didn't see it on the sign-up sheet. I'm sorry, that wasn't intentional. Yes.
My name is Cassie Byers. I have 5 kids at this school. What we talked about earlier was just a possibility of things that have already happened in the world and that could happen. We're not saying that every transgender kid is going to go try to catch a peek at a girl or boy. We never have said that, and we've never acted that way. But our words have been twisted to think that way. Can I finish? Thanks. What would help, I would agree, what would help is if the school could make a few single-stall bathrooms or unisex bathrooms for people that would like to identify as other than the gender they were born to go into those bathrooms. That would be helpful. And they should be encouraged to use those, not our biological kids to be pushed to use those, which they were. Yes, they are, via the principal. Okay, so when we go to school, we go to grow and prepare to be graduated and to be adults. We don't go to school to do what society says to do or what the popular thing at the time is to do. And we don't go to school to make the majority feel uncomfortable or uneasy about some things as easy as using the restrooms. Vicksburg lately has really disappointed me in the last few years. It seems like the school is doing the opposite of what the majority of the kids want and what's best for the kids, because that's what matters. The kids can be whoever they want, but it needs to start happening after they graduate, as school, high school, middle school, and elementary school is way too confusing as it is to deal with all of that extra stress. It's already hard enough. Another issue that I need to address today that's very important is staff that keeping things from the parents of students. It's something that needs to stop, and it's not, you don't tell somebody, I won't tell your parents. It doesn't happen in schools. There's also staff in these schools threatening parents that if they speak at the board meetings, they will make their child's life difficult in school. And you know who you are. And it won't be tolerated at all. No, she doesn't lie. Let me speak. You're not going to threaten members of the family and be staff and not get away with it. And you're not going to bother her later after today either. So, okay. Vicksburg is not supposed to be this way. We won't allow it to be anymore. People getting threatened, staff being afraid to stand up for what they believe is right because they're afraid they'll get fired, that's also not okay. They should be able to tell how they feel and express it without being feared of being fired. If they don't agree with you or you, that should be fine.
You've got about 20 seconds.
Okay. The school has started to do what they think will look good, what is not actually good for the students. It is not about the adults in the school. It is about the education and what is best for the students and students alone. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that was missed? Okay, we want to thank you all for your comments. Due to pending litigation, we cannot comment at this time. However, the Vicksburg Community Schools Board of Education released a statement during the August 14th board meeting. That statement can be found in our August Vicksburg Community Schools Board of Education minutes in this board packet. The board packet for this meeting can be found on the Vicksburg Community Schools webpage. Please contact the administration office if you need help locating the packet. Thank you. We will go back to board action required. First item we have before us is approval of the August 14th, 2023 board meeting minutes. We need a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Carol. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of general fund invoices for the month ending August 2023 totaling $521,493.32.
So moved.
Moved by Carol.
Support.
Supported by Ron. Discussion. Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of purchase card disbursements for July 2023 totaling $101,602.51.
So moved.
Moved by Dan,
Support.
supported by Tina. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of readmittance of student 219-20B on a behavior contract.
So moved.
Moved by Carol.
Supported.
Supported, was it Dan?
Yeah. Yes.
Supported by Dan. Discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. Approval of resignation of Sunset Lake teacher Rasma Gertners effective August 23, 2023.
So moved.
Moved by Tina?
Support.
Supported by Ron. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval of following teachers' contracts upon results of state and federal records and unprofessional conduct checks, and will take teachers as listed 1 through 4 with the board's permission.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, was that moved by Stephanie?
You betcha.
Okay, supported by Dave. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Approval to move into closed session for the purpose of considering an attorney-client privileged communication is allowed under Open Meetings Act 15.298, Section 8H. I'll
That
entertain a
was
motion.
268, Skip.
Pardon me?
268.
268, thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Tina,
Support.
supported by Stephanie. Okay, any discussion? Stephanie?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Tina?
Yes.
Carol?
Yes.
And yes, motion carries. We'll take a brief recess before we join ourselves in closed session.
Where are we going?
We're going to go into the, I think yeah. My words. Well,
Yeah, it was very balanced. I was pleased.